Hello, happy holidays, and welcome to a special webinar on leveraging LinkedIn for manufacturers hosted by LedU Partners. My name is Chad Collette. I'm the Director of Marketing here at LedU Partners. We're a business and technology consulting firm that partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes that are supported by core technologies, including customer relationship management or CRM and marketing automation. I'm really excited to talk about today's webinar. It's a topic that's a true passion of mine. LinkedIn is widely recognized as the largest professional social network and has often been cited as an excellent job search and personal branding tool. But many organizations are missing out on an opportunity to leverage from a company perspective. It's a resource that we use heavily here at LedU Partners, and personally, I log into LinkedIn every single day. If you don't follow LedU Partners or haven't connected with me, I really hope you'll consider it. Now, before I introduce our presenter, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping items to cover. First off, today's webinar is being recorded and it will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email from me after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. We encourage you to share this with your coworkers and your social networks. To ensure the best audio quality, we have everybody in listen-only mode. But if you have a question or a comment, we really encourage those. Please submit those in the question pane in your GoToWebinar control panel. We have a super full agenda, and as Katie told me, she could talk about LinkedIn for days and days. But every question that we do have, we will definitely follow up with you after the webinar is completed. Now that we got those details out of the way, I am super excited to introduce Katie Felton. Katie's the co-founder and marketing strategist at Strategy House, a Milwaukee-based marketing agency that specializes in setting sales and marketing strategies for manufacturing companies. Katie's been teaching companies and sales teams how to leverage social media, in particular LinkedIn, for over 10 years. Katie, I'm going to give you controls of this, and thank you for joining us today.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, or good morning still, I guess. I'm going to show my main screen. Show my screen. All right, so here we are. Welcome, everyone. As Chad mentioned, I'm very excited to be on this webinar today, and LinkedIn is a passion of mine as well, and I've been teaching and training on LinkedIn for over a decade now, which seems like a very long time, which it is. And but what I've always focused on is a little bit different than most people. And I still feel like a lot of people today think of LinkedIn as that job search tool. And what I want to help us do today is shift your thinking a little bit and think about it more as a business development tool. When I was growing up, my dad was an accountant, CPA, had his own practice, and sitting on his desk was his Rolodex. It's something that we don't see too much these days, is that actual black Rolodex on our desks. But to me, that's what LinkedIn is. It's our living, breathing Rolodex. It's a way to stay in touch with everyone that we've worked with, our peers, our clients, our prospects, everyone that we've interacted with over the years, and they keep their information up to date. So as we go through this webinar today, I really want you to think about three things. One is LinkedIn is a business development tool. And I really believe that it's here to do three main things for us: generate more qualified leads, establish yourself as a thought leader, an industry expert, and help you build, manage, and grow your relationships. And really focusing on that business development piece. So right now we're here on the LinkedIn homepage, but before we jump into going through some of the tactics and things like that, I do want to take a few minutes to talk about the profile, because we bring a three-pronged approach to our clients when we're talking about LinkedIn. And the first thing really starts with the foundation, and that's your profile. And this is the LinkedIn homepage. Anytime you're logged in, this is what the page that you'll come to, and you can click right on your name on the left-hand side, and it will open up to your profile. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but because I want you to start shifting your thinking from LinkedIn as the job search tool to how do I leverage LinkedIn as a business development tool, and particularly for manufacturing, I want to go over a few things that you need to shift in your profile so that we're talking to the right person, right? When we're looking for a job, we put things in our profile like, I crushed quota, here's all the things that I do internally, here's how I helped grow the company. And that's great if you're looking for a job and a recruiter or a hiring manager is looking at your profile. However, if we're shifting our thinking to, I'm looking at this as a business development tool and I'm talking to my prospects and customers, we need to have different language because they don't really care that you helped crush quota or you increase sales by X. What they care about is, what are you going to do for me, right? So we need to shift that thinking. So the first thing that I have to touch on is your photo. So the first three things is your name, your photo, and your headline. If we'll jump back to the news feed, if you notice here, every time you show up, whether it's in the news feed, if someone does a search, anytime your information comes up on LinkedIn, it shows your smiling little face, and look at how tiny this is, barely a half an inch, your name and your headline. So we want to make sure that these things are setting that first impression of us. So a headshot, smiling, looking at the camera. Again, it's very small. It's not you and your fish, you and your family, you and someone clearly cut out of the side of the photo. I'm always amazed at how many people I see that still do that today. I personally recommend getting a professional photo done. Again, this is your avatar. This is what people start to, starts to represent you online. However, most of us have iPhones or smartphones that take amazing photos. Get someone else to take a photo. No duck-faced selfies, please. But just a nice smiling headshot, because this is your profile and this is the image and the brand that we're trying to build to represent your company, and we want it to be professional. The next thing is your headline. You get 80 characters here to tell people a little bit more about you, how your company can solve their needs, and again, it shows up along with your name, your photo. That headline is always there. So rather than kind of wasting that space saying, I'm a sales manager at XYZ company, which doesn't really tell anybody anything about what you do to help them. So we recommend starting with a verb, your target market or customer that you serve, how you help them, and how they benefit. Again, that's a lot to kind of cram into 80 characters, but it definitely can be done. And as you can see, this is what we have on ours, helping manufacturers market in the digital age with data-driven marketing strategies. And again, if I would show up in the news feed over here like Joe, it would have my photo, my name, and then my headline would be right there, in addition to anything that I'm sharing, or anywhere else that I show up in search and things like that. So that's really important. The next little section, this is what they call the summary. This was moved in the last redesign. So again, we want to take this opportunity to expand a little bit on who we are and what we do. We call this our power statement, and it really builds on the same ideas as in the headline. Who do you work with? How do you help them? And why should they choose you? And again, that's the what do we do, how it benefits your customers, why should they work with you, and who do you work with? Again, being really clear. Also, when you're putting these keywords in your profile, manufacturing, marketing, strategies, we've got these things in multiple places now already in this profile, so that when people are searching, they're starting to pull you up for what your company does versus what you as an individual do inside of the organization. This is just some information. This is private to me. It's some information about my dashboard. We're going to skip over that. We're also going to skip over this activity. We're going to talk a little bit more about this later, but then we really get to the meat of your profile these days, and it's your experience section. This is where you can put in your title, your company name, and when you type in the company name, to get the logo to show up, you want to make sure that it links to the company profile, and then how long you've been there. And then we've got the opportunity here for you get about 2,000 characters, and a couple of things to note here. Again, if you read through this, it's not about me anymore. This is still my personal profile, but I am representing my company. And if you go to LinkedIn and maybe scan through the different profiles in your company, you're going to look at this section and you're going to go, wow, it looks like we're really scattered and we're all from different areas, and it doesn't really even look like we represent the same company. So when I'm doing this, even though this is our individual profile, we are representing our company and we're trying to get more customers. So we recommend that everyone in the company has the same content here. And that's because we're trying to sell to our customer and we want to come across as a cohesive brand, just like we do in the other aspects of the digital space. So what belongs in this section is, this is who do we work with? What problem are they experiencing? How do you help them solve it? Why should they work with you, or what benefits will they see? And then how do they get in touch? Generally, I'm a salesperson at heart, so I am not a writer. My goal is always to move on to that. I don't want to write anything. I'm just like, I want to talk to people. So we work with a lot of times our marketing departments and the rest of the organization to craft this, but it does also have one very important thing that ties it back to you, that makes it more personal. This is written more in a conversational tone. Again, your smiling face is at the top of this profile, and most people come to LinkedIn not to find business information, right? If we're going to Google something, we're going to Google a company and we're going to go to their website. We're generally not coming to LinkedIn to find out company information, right? We're trying to find out about the people that work there and how do we have that connection and that relationship. And that's a key differentiator of LinkedIn. You are a very important piece of this profile. So while we're recommending that you look at this a little bit more from what does the company provide to the client, you are still that person that they are connecting with on an individual level. So we write this in a little bit more of a casual tone, almost like I'm sitting across the table from you and how I would describe what we do in a conversation versus what we might say on the website that might be a little bit more buttoned up. So, and the other thing is this call to action at the bottom. Reach out to me. Again, this is your profile. We're representing the company, but the goal is the connection and the relationship with the individual person. So we always want to have a call to action. Either say, connect with me on LinkedIn, email me. If you want them to give you a call, put the phone number in there. You can even create a little graphic that you can add that has your name, your phone number, your email, and your website. It doesn't actually link here. It just shows the content. But that's a great way for people to say, hey, yes, this is what our company provides, but I am your person that's going to provide those services. So that's the main focus of what we want to shift in our profile so that we're talking to our customers and prospects versus recruiters. Just going to scan through a couple of other things. The previous experience sections are still important. That's how we remember. I just had this come up yesterday. I had a friend reach out to me and they said, how do you know this person? And they gave me the person's name and their profile. I was like, I have no idea. But I scanned through the previous, their previous positions and realized I had worked with him in another organization. Our organizations had worked together about, 5-6 years ago. And if I wouldn't have had the previous experience, I wouldn't have remembered that. So that's important. However, your current prospects and customers don't really care what you did at all of those previous companies, and you've probably got if you have content in those areas, it's probably more tailored to a recruiter anyways. So if you've got a job and we're looking at this from a business development perspective, I would take out previous content, that's speaking to recruiters, save that somewhere. So if you're ever looking for a job in the future, you could potentially add it in. But your current customers and prospects don't really care, that you crushed quota 5-10 years ago. You got your education. And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is the skills and endorsements. This is another area where there's a divide between I'm looking for a job and I'm talking to a recruiter, so then I should list my individual skills and what's going to get me hired, versus we're talking to our customers and prospects and we want to put in the keywords of the things that our company provides. So again, we're putting keywords in key areas in our headline, in that short summary, in the experience section, and now in the skills and endorsements, which is one of the main areas that LinkedIn uses in its search algorithm to connect people with certain skill sets. We want to make sure that we've got skills or services, and you almost want to think of it more as services that your company provides to your customer. What might someone type into the search that you do? That's where you want to come up. So marketing strategy, social media, you get 50 different options to put skills in here. You don't have to use them all, but I would encourage you to think about what are the things that your company provides and what are the things that someone might type into a search bar to find you. And then our very last section here on the profile these days is recommendations. This is someone recommending you. This is third-party validation. Again, a divide here, right? If you're talking to a recruiter, you'd want your manager to recommend you or a direct report. Whereas our customers and prospects, they want to know that we've worked with other businesses and other people that have supported the services that our company provides. So you only 2 show up without seeing view more. Ask for a couple of recommendations from your clients. And we'll give you an example of a template that you can use for that down the road as well. But that's really the main gist of the profile. And again, this is setting the foundation. Don't spend too much time on this trying to get every word right. Get it mostly right. If you've looked at LinkedIn profiles in the past, you've probably looked at their photo, you've read their headline, you've probably scanned this experience section for 5 seconds maybe, and then you've made a decision, right? You're either going to reach out to connect, you're going to move on, oh, interesting, but you're not reading everything word for word for word. And I hate to be the person to break it to you, people just don't do that today. If we look at our own browsing habits, we know that to be true. So get it mostly right. Then we want to go to, so that's setting the foundation. You should review it about once a year, or obviously if you change jobs. But beyond that, that's kind of a set it and forget it. But now we're going to start getting a little bit more active. But we want to make sure that if we are active and people are seeing us in the news feed and they're clicking over to our profile, that it lets them know who we are and what we do as it relates to business development and our companies. So then here we are. This is the home page again. This is the news feed. So this is, I'm just going to go quickly. This left-hand side obviously is your profile. It tells you who's viewed your profile recently and if people have viewed the content that you've shared. The center column is where you can share content. It says write an article, or you just post. Where it says write an article, that's a more long form content like a blog post. Most of us aren't doing that regularly, so we're not going to talk about that in this webinar today because that's a little bit more in depth. But what I do want to talk about is creating content, short form content that goes in this news feed. And I'm sure you've noticed in the news feed that there's a lot of people posting random information, sharing articles, and you're kind of like, I don't know why they're sharing that. This one here is actually a great example of a good post. Anytime it snows more than an inch, all hospitality democracy restaurants offer free hot chocolate. So that's great. So it tells us Joe is and he's the co-founder and president of that. So that makes a lot of sense. But a lot of times we're just seeing kind of random articles, right? So here's an example. Here's someone, CIO, time for the Big Short. Like what does this have to do, and how does it tie back to his business? Why is he sharing this? So we want to be thinking about that. So when we work with clients, we really want to be strategic. This is our business network. Again, this is our living, breathing Rolodex. This is where we go when we're connecting with business peers, prospects, and clients. So what I think that we should be putting in our news feed, we should be strategic about it. And we should be saying, this is who we work. We should be letting people know in a very casual way that what we do, who we serve, and that we have happy clients and calls to action. None of this stuff is getting emailed to anyone, so you're not spamming anyone with this information, but you've connected with all of these people, and you should be letting them know kind of at a high level, at the awareness level, what you do. You don't need to get into all the details of all the products and services that you provide and things like that. All that we're doing is trying to let the connections that we have know or remind them, this is what we do at a very high level. So when someone's just learning about a problem or a challenge that they have and they start to look for a solution, they generally have a question. How do I do this? Or I'm frustrated with this, and they're starting to look for some way to help them solve that problem. And this is called the awareness stage. So they're becoming aware that they have some sort of a problem. And in this stage, they're generally asking questions. They're a lot of times frustrated with something. They're looking for a way to solve a problem. They're not looking for a company at this point, right? They don't even quite know what their problem is and how to solve it, let alone the company that can solve it. So everything that we're looking at putting here in this news feed should be very high level and kind of tied back to, here's the problem that you might have. You're this person with this title, and this is the problem that you might have. And then we want to add a call to action to that. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, actually I'm going to go back to my profile, and the section that we skipped over, I can click here on the right hand side and see all activity. You can also do this on anyone's profile. You don't have to be connected to them to see this, but this is all the stuff that they've shared in the news feed in the last 30 days. And this is important because this can start to tell you or tell a story about what's important to them, what they're interested in, etc. So we try to keep this content pretty short. Most people, as they're scrolling through the news feed, we're not stopping to hit the see more button or to read more, right? So we want to try, for the most part, to get as much of the content in this short form before it says see more, or at least get the main point across, so that if it interests them, they will click and read more. And we just put some hashtags in this particular one, and then we've used some graphics. If you want to use graphics, we use a tool called Canva, CANVA.com. I am not a graphic designer or any of that. We've all seen this on Facebook, right? You can click the little button that says put it a background, and then you just write text over it. Canva is another service. There's free options. Most of our clients are on a free option. There's a paid one where you can put in like custom colors and things like that if multiple people on your team are creating graphics, and it's only $10 a month. But there is a free version, and that's what we use to create some of these graphics. We use testimonials in here, quotes about different percentages. So 79% of marketers view LinkedIn as an effective source for generating B2B leads, and then we linked we give the link back to the source of that. So what we're wanting to do is capture people's attention. One, we want to be very strategic so that we're only sharing things that are relevant to us and our industry, so that every time someone sees our face, our name, our photo on our headline and our content, it re-solidifies, oh yeah, Katie does LinkedIn training. Oh, she does social media, marketing for manufacturing. That's about all that I need anyone to remember about me. So everything that I share on LinkedIn here is tying back to that, because my goal then is for them to go, oh yeah, well, we're a manufacturing company, we're looking for some marketing help, I'm going to reach out to Katie. So that's really the goal, and that's as simple as it is. We have to keep it simple for people that are outside our industry. I'm not going to be using a lot of industry keywords. I'm not going to tell them like, here's all the things that we can do for you. I'm trying to capture those initial challenges that someone's having, and then saying, hey, if this is you, give me a call. That's the goal. If this is you, give me a call. And then for anyone that's not a prospect or my target audience, I just want them to kind of, in their mind, to remember Katie, LinkedIn, social media, marketing, manufacturing, 5 words. So think about that for yourself. What do you need people to remember so that someone's in a meeting 3, 6, 9, 2 years from now, and someone says, oh, you know what, we're looking for some training for our team, probably LinkedIn, and you raise your hand and go, man, Katie's shares a ton of stuff. I'm connected to her on LinkedIn. She's always talking about doing LinkedIn training. We should call her. That's what we want to happen for you. And that's why we want to keep this simple. So I'm just going to show you a couple other example posts. This one's got a little bit more content than I like on a graphic, because again, people are scrolling through the newsfeed pretty quickly. I would prefer to see something just simple. You're scrolling through the newsfeed and this just gets you enough to stop and go, wait a minute, what is this? Okay, moving on. And then 6 months from now, you know, they might reach out. So that's really what this content is meant to do. Here's an example of a question that we've shared. Marketing is often pushed to the back burner for manufacturing. Oh yeah, you know what? We're doing that. Prioritize digital marketing in 2018. B2B buyers search for information on social media. See more. Okay, you know what? I think I need to talk to Katie. That's the goal. So how do we do this? What we recommend, as Chad mentioned, I'm on LinkedIn every day, but I live and breathe this stuff, right? And it's also the way that we're growing our company and business. But for most of our clients, what we recommend is 2 posts a week. Just 2 posts a week. And so, but we don't want to just have to think about them. You know, you come to LinkedIn on Tuesday and you're like, what do I write? I'm not sure. We want you to be a little bit more strategic. Again, this isn't too hard. We want you to sit down once a month, once a quarter. Once a quarter for 2 posts a week is only about 24 posts for 3 months. That's it. 24 posts that have about 200 words per post with a picture. You write that out, put it into a Word document, and then save it. And then twice a week, you open up that document and post something that you've already thought about on LinkedIn. Also, you don't have to change this up constantly. I mean, you want to tweak it a little bit, but you know, from week to week, month to month, your products and services aren't changing that much. Maybe you're adding something new. Your customer that you serve, that person, isn't necessarily changing too much. So, and you're offering the same products, services ongoing. So all of this content doesn't have to be super different. You know, I get people that ask me sometimes, they're like, oh, why are we posting the same thing? Well, have we all seen a commercial more than once? We have. You know, they play those things over and over and over. They might mix them up, but they're still talking about cornflakes. Hallmark, you know, with that commercial, it's Christmas time, that Hallmark commercial where the soldier comes home was it Hallmark or Folgers? Shoot, I bet it's Folgers. And you know, again, I remember that from when I was basically a child, and we still remember that. Why? Because we saw it over and over again. So take an hour or two. This is a good time, especially for those of you in the manufacturing space. We're slowing down a little bit before the holidays. We're taking some time off. Schedule 2 hours. Sit down and say, okay, what are we offering? Who do we have? A happy customer? You've probably got some testimonials on your website. You don't have to, and even if you've only got a handful of testimonials, split them up. Take the one concept, put it on a graphic. You don't have to use a 2-paragraph testimonial here. You just want to capture a sentence or a thought on that graphic, and then you can use that particular person's testimonial multiple times with different snippets. Think about, what are the products that we offer? Who do we offer them to? Who's our best customer? What are they frustrated with, or what's their challenge? And just write out a handful of these. Again, 24 posts, 200 characters, which is a sentence or two, and you've got the first quarter of the year taken care of, and then you can come here, because consistency is key. Come to LinkedIn and you copy and paste from that document that you've got and hit send. And then now, as people are scrolling through the news feed, rather than going like, scrolling past stuff, like, why are people sharing this? This doesn't relate back to their business. People start to go, oh, that's what you do. Oh, that's what you do. We have a client that just closed in manufacturing, healthcare manufacturing, and they're somewhat in a commodity business. They sell cleaning supplies, sheets, uniforms, towels to senior living facilities. We've been working with one of their team for about a year and a half, and they just told me that they closed a 3-year deal, almost $2 million. Their normal deal size is about $20,000 to $30,000. Huge. And one of the things they attributed it to was consistent posting and letting their connections, who a lot of them are their prospects and customers, know what they do. And when it was time for that prospect to make a decision, they said, we want to work with you because you seem to really understand the industry and you're always sharing about how you help people in our situation. So it's a huge win, right? And I'm not saying that's going to happen, because you can never count on some of those things to happen, but that's why we're doing this. We want everyone that we're connected to go, oh yeah, they're that person. Oh yeah. When they think of that. So I mentioned that LinkedIn is really tied to a person. However, there still are company pages, and you can still link to that. And people a lot of times will still go to a company page on LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you our company, just the company page here. So you can go to all different company pages, and the value here is, so it says strategy house, but then I can manage the page. This is our page, but this is what an individual would see just without that. You can see jobs, but it also tells you if you know anybody that works there, or it tells you can see all of the employees on LinkedIn. And that's really kind of the angle, right? LinkedIn is all about people. It's people first. If anyone's looking up a company on LinkedIn, it's because they want to find a person that works there. So that's where the company page comes in. You should still have, everyone should have a company page. LinkedIn's goal is to have every company mapped. So if your company doesn't have a page, or you haven't created a page for your company, we found that LinkedIn is finding information. If a whole bunch of people are, have a profile on LinkedIn and they say that they work for a specific company, LinkedIn is kind of aggregating that information and creating a page for you. And if that has happened and you're like, we didn't create this page, over on the right-hand side, it's not on mine because this is our page, but there'll be a little thing that says, is this your company? Claim it. Similar to what you've seen possibly on Facebook or Google. They do the same thing. Is that, they map all of this stuff and then they say, is this your business? If it is, go ahead and claim it. And then you can put the content that you want. So again, you get some content there. If you've got jobs, you can add jobs and things like that. It tells us what the post, you can post to your company page. I honestly feel that posting to the company page is less important than posting to your personal profile in that news feed, because again, most people aren't coming to LinkedIn to follow a company. They're coming to LinkedIn to find the people. So you still should post something, maybe once a week, even as little as once a month, sharing some of the kind of high level things. And again, these will be a little bit more buttoned down because they're talking more from a company perspective, where your posts should sound like you're saying them. You can see here on this page just shows the admin view. You get to put your updates here. It's the same dialog box where you can share an article, copy your text there, you add your image, you can edit the overview, you can see some analytics, you see some analytics on who's looking at your updates, the visitors, who's following your page, etc., which is nice. You unfortunately don't get quite that much information on your personal profile. And then you can see if you've got any notifications. It tells you who's liked your posts and things like that. This is a great way to get some leads. However, again, it's less likely that someone outside of your company is going to like or comment on this. Most of this is my team, whereas the posts that I do in the news feed, I get more interaction from my customers. And when you look at this from your profile, you can see no one else will see this 303 views. So these are the views that you got on your individual post. No one else will see this. You're seeing this on mine because I'm logged in, but you'll see your individual numbers. I had a friend call me the other day and said, wow, I've got several hundred contacts, and one of the posts that I shared was actually about me speaking somewhere. He goes, I got like 1,000 views. Is that good? I'm like, yes. Even myself, that I share a lot. I still, generally am in the 1 to 500 views of any given post. And 1,000 is definitely a good number to see that 1,000 people saw that. Again, this is just on your post, but if you click on this, you can see a little bit of information. If someone's viewed it, they unfortunately don't give you like, here's the person's name. They'll tell you the industries, what their titles were, and kind of what location. So this can tell you if your content is resonating with your target audience, or at least industry, and the people at those companies and the locations that you serve. So that gives you just a little bit of information. If someone has commented or liked your post, it will give you that person's individual information. And that shows up over here on the right-hand side in the notifications tab. This is where it puts all of that information. It tells me who likes my post, if somebody's got a new job position that I can say congratulations to. It tells me who's viewed my profile, etc. So this is where all of the notifications go. And if you're in sales, this is a great opportunity to see if anyone that's your target audience is looking at your profile. Just the other day, I noticed a marketing director from a company that we had submitted a proposal to last year, about a year ago, had recently looked at my profile. So I was like, oh, interesting. So I just went into LinkedIn and I sent him a quick message. I didn't say, hey, I saw you looked at my profile, but I said, hey, I was just thinking about you. How is it going? Just wanted to check in, see how things are going. I don't remember exactly, but just a real simple email, and getting back to him. And he said, nope, we are actually still looking for something. We haven't made a decision. We should check in with you, right after the first of the year. So using this information to reach out to prospects is a good opportunity. Since we jumped up to this toolbar, I just want to share a couple of other things. We're not going to talk about jobs because that's not really where we're at, but you see this My Network tab. This is one of the areas that I always get a lot of questions on, and first off, you see I have no red notifications. I am a little OCD about red notifications, so I'm always making sure that they are gone. And I know most of you will be like, oh my gosh, I have hundreds of notifications. And one area is invitations. Is like, oh, these people have sent me connection requests and I don't know who they are. Who should I connect to? So my take on all of this is I do something a little bit different than everyone else. So you can see I've got one invitation here. And I got an option to say ignore or accept. I like to do, if you hit this manage all button, it gives you a third option. It gives me the option to message this person before I ignore or accept. And all of our clients have this as well, but here's an example of what I send to this. It's my unknown connection request to connect on LinkedIn. I don't know this person, but they did send me a connection request. So I send this little message back to them. Thanks for reaching out. I appreciate you want to connect. I don't think we've met. I did want to just see, why are you reaching out? And then I use an opportunity to say what we do, to give you an idea of what we do best. This is it. Let me know how I can help. And then I put in my name, my email, and my phone number. And I send that. So I'm not accepting the message, the connection request. I'm just replying. And I do this for a couple of reasons. One, because most people don't put a message in there and tell you why they want to connect. Two, I may not actually connect with them because they may not get back to me. So I'm always using that as a trigger. They reached out to me, remember? I wouldn't do this if I was reaching out to someone. I would make it about them. But since someone else is saying, hey, I want to connect with you, I'm saying, why? Here's what we do, and here's my contact information. So if they respond in any way, it will show up in my messages here. And I don't really care what they say, unless it's like this particular one. This one was one from the other day, and he said, sorry, wrong Katie Felton. Okay, no big deal. A lot of times if they respond at all, I generally will connect. I will preface this and say, if I get a connection request that clearly looks spammy, they don't have, and I always look at the profile briefly, that 5 to 10 seconds, I scan their profile. If they have 0 connections, I don't, and it clearly looks like a spammy profile, I don't send that message. If they're from another country and their profile's in another language, I generally don't send that message. I just hit the ignore button. Sometimes you get a lot of spammy stuff from like Sri Lanka, maybe India. Again, generally I don't accept those. But if they're in the United States, specifically if they're in the Milwaukee or the Wisconsin area, I have the opportunity. It also shows you when you look at someone's profile, it tells you who you know in common. So that's really helpful and pretty awesome. It tells me I have 3 mutual connections. It tells me who they are. If there's more than 3, you just click that number and then it will bring up those people's profiles and you can message them. These are all the people that we know in common. That's also helpful. You might want to reference something there. But that's what I do for those unknown connection requests. The other thing that allows is it allows me to start a dialogue, because just like text message and Facebook Messenger, once we've got some dialogue, now that all shows up, and as we send new messages, this kind of drops down. But if I don't talk to this person for 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, the next time we interact, all this previous history is going to pop up. So for this particular person who came to one of my LinkedIn presentations I did a few months ago, it's great. I sent a message right after I did my presentation, said, hey, it was great to meet you. Again, here's my contact information. I kept it real simple. And then he reached out to me just a couple of days ago. This was 2 months ago. We had connected. He reached out to me a few days ago. Thought that there might be an opportunity for us to work together. We scheduled a call, and we've got some follow-up. So that's how that all kind of comes together and why I feel like it's really good to start that dialogue. So when I go to conferences and I'm meeting people, I get their card. In between sessions, I'll look them up on LinkedIn, send them a real quick invite and say, hey, it was great to meet you today at XYZ conference. Looking forward to staying in touch. I'll reach out. If you had said we'll reach out afterwards, I'll reach out next week and we can continue our conversation about X. Do it while you're remembering it. You know, I went to a conference and there's 20,000 people. I did that with most everyone that I met. I got to each session a little bit early, sent out a connection request. There was a couple of cards that I had just thrown in my bag and I forgot to do that too. By the time I got home 3 days later, I couldn't remember where I had met those other people. Whereas anybody that I had connected with, I knew right away. I could go back to their profile. Oh yeah, we were in this session and we talked about this. So again, a great opportunity to leverage for connecting with people. The final thing that I'm going to just give a quick little update on. So we talked about two of the three areas. So 2.5 of the 3 areas. So first, it's setting your foundation by updating your profile and creating the content that speaks to your customers and prospects versus recruiters and hiring managers. Then we talked about the content, the short form content that you're going to share in your news feed to keep people up to date about, hey, this is who we are and this is what we do. Again, very simple awareness stage, so that as people are scanning through your news feed, they might be just picking up 1 or 2 words. Oh yeah, they're the real estate guy. Yep, they do real estate and restaurants in the metro area. Those are 3 words. You know, you are the one that can decide if that prospect is actually a fit, but you want to make that decision. You don't want them to self-select out. So you want to be strategic about the content that you're sharing, and you can do that in a monthly planning session of an hour or so and write out 8 posts, or 12 weeks like we do, and you write out 24 posts and then share them consistently, maybe even putting a reminder in your calendar. Then we started to talk a little bit about triggers and how do we stay connected, and that was through looking at the notifications, the connection requests. The third area is that outreach, and how do we use LinkedIn to find people. So on every page, you'll see the search tab. If you click, and this is simple search, you can put people's names in here, company names, and they'll come up. However, if you click on that, it brings up this little magnifying glass, and that's the advanced search. So if you click on that, it brings you to an advanced search. So it's got some more tabs up here, but then you can also do some filtering. First level, which is the people that you are directly connected to. Second level is their friends, or the people that you know, who they're connected to. And then third and beyond. I'm going to focus mostly on the first and second. So people move around a lot today. So I recommend a lot of times selecting first level, maybe putting in a keyword, so that whether it's obviously if you have your name, I feel like you would just put it in the search bar, but maybe you just have a title. So maybe I just want to look up quickly someone that's got a marketing title, or maybe business development that I already know, because again, people move around a lot. Maybe there's someone that I, worked with 3 years ago and they changed jobs. If I click on this, it's going to tell me I have 137 results of people that are my first level connection that have business development in their title. Then maybe I want to say, oh, you know what? I only want to look at people that are in Milwaukee. It's going to drop that down. Now there's 89. Maybe I only want to say I want them to be in a specific industry, or maybe I want to now tailor it down to a company, whatever. So now I've got an opportunity. These are people that I already know, and 89 people. It wouldn't take me long to just scan through this list and think about the people that are here and see if it might be an opportunity to reach out. The real benefit to the LinkedIn is being able to search your connections. And this is awesome. So I can now look at who does my network know? So all of these people have a second next to them. So it says same thing. We went from 89 results. It says business development in their title, and they're in the metro area, greater Milwaukee area, which is where I am. Now we're up to 1,300 results. And it tells me who my shared connections are. Pretty well connected in Milwaukee, so there's a lot of shared connections, 87. So I can click on that little list, and it's going to tell me all the people that I know that also know this person, this second connection that I do not know. And there's a couple of ways to do this. A lot of people don't necessarily use LinkedIn as actively as I do. So I might just use this as research and then give one of these people a call, whoever maybe I know best, maybe give them a call or send them an email, like a regular email just through my email client, and say, hey, Sue, I noticed that you know this person on LinkedIn. I'm doing X. I'm wondering if you would introduce me. The other thing is we want to make it easy for people to help us. Give them the information that they need. If you're asking someone to introduce you, say, hey, I'll give you some information that you can use. Write the email that says whatever you want it to say. Hi, I'm introducing you to my friend Katie. Katie does one sentence. I think it'd be beneficial for you two to connect. I would send that over to my connection, my shared connection, and say, hey, could you just forward this? It gives them context. What do we do when we get an email, right? There's that rule of if it takes 2 minutes, do it now. 2 minutes or less, do it now. That's what we want. We want to have, anytime we ask anyone for help, we want it to take 2 minutes or less so that they do it now and it doesn't go into the later pile or the flagged pile or whatever, because we all have thousands probably of things in that pile and we want to help our friends. We truly do, but two things are stopping us. One, we're incredibly busy, and two, we don't want to sound stupid. And if we don't give them the right information, if I just say, hey, Chad, can you introduce me to this person? He's going to go, oh, he's going to think instantly, sure, I'd be happy to do that. And then he starts to open the email to write it, and he goes, oh shit, what do I say about Katie? I don't know. I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to say the wrong thing. So you know what? I'm going to think about it. I need to think about this a little bit more. I can't do this in 2 minutes, and I've got a meeting in 5 minutes. So I have to move on. So I'm putting my save for later pile. You never get back to it. So what we want to do is, if I sent that same email to Chad and said, hey, can you do a quick introduction for me? Here's a way that you can introduce me, and this is what I'm looking for. Make it simple. He can tweak that email before he sends it, but that will give him the context that I am thinking of and makes it easy for him to go, I wouldn't say that. This is how I would introduce you. But then there's probably going to leave this is what I'm saying about myself. Again, it's not paragraphs. It's simple. Very, very simple. So again, great chat today. If you guys have questions, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Or I think we'll get if you put them in the chat bar, I'll review them after the call. Happy holidays, and I hope that this webinar today helped you shift your thinking as we move into 2018 and a new year of how you can really leverage LinkedIn as a business development tool that's going to help you and your company grow in the next year. Thank you.
Katie, that was amazing information, and I thought I knew LinkedIn pretty well, but I got several takeaways here. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, this was recorded. Here's Katie's information, but of course you're all going to immediately go to LinkedIn and reach out to her on that platform. Watch your inbox for a recording of this, and if there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and visit ledgerpartners.com under news and events for future webinars. We certainly hold a lot of them across the multiple contexts and topics. Thank you very much. Happy holidays, and make it a great day.